The first 2 days of the play-in tournament are in the books, and two playoff spots have been clinched while two teams had their seasons end. Now we've reached a point where it's win or go home. The winner of these games advanced to the 8th seed in their respective conferences, and while it sounds daunting, just last year we saw the Miami Heat go from being an 8th seed to the NBA Finals. So if a team gets hot, a deep run is possible. I'm going to take a deeper dive into these matchups, point out some areas each team can attack, and eventually pick my winners. The Bulls and the Heat split their 4 game series this past year, though it's worth noting the last of those games was in December. A lot has changed for both teams since then. Most notably in this game will be the injuries impacting both teams. Jimmy Butler will be out for the Heat in this game, which is a brutal blow given the major impact he has on both ends of the floor. The Bulls could also be without All-NBA defender Alex Caruso, who on top of his elite defense had a fantastic season shooting from 3. The key in this game will be how the Bulls fare against the Heat's zone defense. No team resorts to zone more than the Heat, and the various schemes they can use within it. While the Bulls face zone more than the average team, they ranked just 21st against it on a per-possession basis. Kobe White was tremendous against the Hawks with his shot making at all levels and ability to get downhill. It will be tougher sledding versus the Heat, but it wouldn't be surprising if the Bulls do push the pace early in possessions to get into their offense before the Heat's defense can get set. DeMar DeRozan did a great job of balancing scoring and facilitating versus the Hawks. He'll likely be asked to do that again, but should see more beneficial matchups when the Heat do play man-to-man with Butler out. The Heat have struggled defending spot-ups this year, so someone like Iota Sumu, who is a dangerous shooter off the catch, could benefit when DeRozan and White do get downhill. It would also be huge for the Bulls if Nikola Vucevic could get a 3 or 2 to fall early. He struggled from deep this year, even on the ones considered open, but taking Bam Adebayo away from the paint would be beneficial. With Butler out and Terry Rozier's status in doubt, Tyler Herro could carry a massive offensive burden. While he struggled shooting versus Sixers, he got a lot of clean looks within the offense, which was encouraging. Even with Caruso, the Bulls have been allowing a lot of points to opposing point guards in the last month. But Herro could rack up a bunch of assists, too. The Bulls have some clear defensive weaknesses, but they're areas where the Heat have struggled to score in. While the Heat create looks off cuts more than most teams, they're near the bottom of the league at converting them on a per-possession basis. The same can be said for getting points from roll men out of pick and roll. The Bulls struggle against both of those, so something has to give. Don't be surprised, given the success the Hawks had with Clint Capella, if the Heat do look to get Adebayo more rolls around the basket. My X factor in this matchup is Jaime Jaquez Jr. The rookie wasn't afraid of the moment versus Sixers and should draw the start in Butler's absence. Jaquez could contribute offensively in a variety of ways and will likely spend some time defending DeRozan. The Bulls have struggled against opposing small forwards this past month, allowing the 7th most points, so a solid outing would go a long way. This is a tough game for me to pick, but I'm ultimately going with the Heat. Even missing Butler, I still think they have more depth and should be able to capitalize on the Bulls' weaknesses defensively. After beating the Warriors, the Kings traveled to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. This could be a case where a team just matches up poorly with the other. These two teams actually played 5 times this year, and the Pelicans won all 5, with 4 of them by double digits. Since Zion Williamson will be missing the game, it's worth pointing out the Pelicans beat the Kings by 33 in the contest he missed against them. This is another game that could come down to 3-point variance. Despite allowing the 5th most catch-and-shoot jumpers considered unguarded per game, the Pelicans have held teams to the 2nd lowest shooting percentage on them. Meanwhile, Kings opponents are connecting on the 2nd highest percentage of those same shots, so something has to give. Given that the Kings lead the league in generating open shots off the catch per game, it's surprising they haven't beaten the Pelicans at least once in their 5 meetings. Then you realize the Kings have shot 34% or worse from deep in 4 of those games. This is single elimination, though, so anything can happen. De'Aaron Fox hasn't had great performances against the Pelicans this year, and the variety of defenders the team can throw at him likely plays a huge role. Herb Jones, in particular, has been fantastic defending Fox, where his movement and length have helped limit him to just under 41% shooting across the 5 meetings. Even if Fox struggles shooting, he's able to get downhill, which is huge for players like Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis, and Harrison Barnes. All 3 have nice matchups here given their ability to knock down threes, though depending on the lineup, Murray or Barnes might be capable of getting going as the Pelicans have struggled versus opposing power forwards of late. Domantas Sabonis will likely continue to be the Kings' lead facilitator, though it's worth noting the Pelicans are very good at defending the handoff actions the Kings so often like to have Sabonis orchestrate. Zion Williamson was fantastic against the Lakers before his injury, so the biggest question is who will rise to the occasion for the Pelicans. CJ McCollum struggled in the last game, and Brandon Ingram spent a lot of time on the bench as the Pelicans went on runs in his absence. The good news for both players is that the Kings have struggled defending pick and roll this year, which is an action both McCollum and Ingram use effectively to create for themselves and others. In Williamson's absence, I'm expecting Trey Murphy to get the start, which given the Kings' struggles off the catch is far from ideal. Murphy's a very dangerous shooter who's also shown he can make opponents pay by attacking closeouts. Herb Jones has also shown drastic improvement as a three-point shooter that the Kings need to account for. My X factor in this game is Larry Nance Jr. The Pelicans like playing smaller lineups with Nance at center, and he should see extended minutes in Williamson's absence. Nance is a savvy cutter who can make the right reads when passing and offers defensive versatility, which should be beneficial. While I think this game should be closer than recent meetings, I'm going with the Pelicans here as I think given their personnel, this is simply a bad matchup for the Kings.